People who went from wealthy to poor, what happened? It was depression. I lost my son and daughter and didn't care about anything anymore. I would wake up screaming every night from nightmares where I tried desperately to save my children. I let everything go. Stopped managing my life and myself. I became unrecognizable. Banks and creditors took most of what I had. Money meant nothing to me. I didn't care if I had to take the bus everywhere. It took over 20 years to recover. My lost decades. At least I didn't fall into drugs or alcohol, even though I looked like I had. I had a really good remote job, making 6 figures, and I completely took it for granted, along with the job market. I could have made smarter choices, but instead I fell into alcoholism. I lost my job, got into debt, and spent several years applying for jobs, starting them, and then quitting. Eventually, I realized how valuable stable employment is and got my life back together. Now I've held a solid in-person job for 2 years, and I'm working on paying off debt and staying sober. Things fall apart slowly, and then all at once. My grandfather owned a large ranch. My grandmother became sick with cancer. He spent everything on treatments. Nothing worked. He lost everything trying to save her. They were left broke and heartbroken. My dad inherited millions from an uncle who had no children. He bought a failing candy factory, hoping to turn it around. But instead of setting limits on how much personal money he'd invest, he personally guaranteed business loans, tying our entire family wealth to the company. He declared bankruptcy in 2006. Then the recession hit right after my parents sold the house to cover debts. They didn't fully recover financially until 2022. A guy I went to school with came from a very rich family. His dad died when he was 21 and left him millions. He blew it all in 3 to 4 years. His mom wasted her share too. He still posts pictures of helicopters on social media asking which one he should buy, even though everyone knows he's broke and can't even afford a car. It's honestly sad. I worked at a bank in college over 20 years ago. One day, a regular customer came in with a $350,000 check. He worked at a factory making around $13 an hour, so it seemed suspicious, especially with scams becoming common at the time. I asked where the money came from. He said it was a life insurance payout from his dad. I told him, "I'm sorry for your loss, but your dad really took care of you. If you invest this wisely, you could retire by 40. He replied, "Nope, I'm buying my friends' cars." And he did. He bought cars for everyone he knew. Not even expensive ones, just old used cars. He spent all $350,000 in under 3 months. If he had invested that money into the S&P 500 and left it there, it would be worth around $2 million today. And if he held it longer, it could have grown to over $20 million. Not me, but my parents. My dad owned a very successful business in the 80s and 90s. They were millionaires. He sold it for a large profit and invested everything into the dot-com boom. It failed, badly. But he didn't tell my mom. He secretly sold assets and even used my mom's inheritance to keep up appearances. Within 18 months, we went from vacations in Hawaii and skiing trips to barely being able to pay for food and electricity. My mom divorced him. I spent my high school years working to help pay bills and taking care of my brother while she worked 2 full-time jobs. But honestly, I'm grateful. That experience taught me a lot and shaped who I am today. Someone I know joined an online investing group and got pulled into a crypto scam. They convinced her to invest most of her savings. When she tried to withdraw her profits, they demanded fees, taxes, and deposits, and she kept paying. It was a classic pig butchering scam. She lost almost everything. Thankfully, she didn't sell her house. Now her relatives help cover her basic expenses to make sure she's okay and doesn't fall for another scam. My late grandfather was an accountant for a very wealthy family and built a good fortune. One day, after an argument, he slapped the family's cook. He was fired. He returned to his village with his savings, but his house was later robbed and burned down. He lost everything and died in extreme poverty. My mother says that one slap affected multiple generations. My grandfather made millions in real estate and owned a yacht business in New England, but he never paid his taxes properly. One day, everything was seized by the government, including our house. Overnight, we went from a wealthy lifestyle to living off basic aid. Eventually, we lived in a small trailer in West Texas, trying to rebuild our lives. Subscribe and share your story in the comments.